Welcome back to Brilliant Fools. My name is Adam Green, and on this Mindset Monday, we're going to take a look at money. We're going to take a look at cash flow. We're going to take a look at the way things work in the world, or the way things should work when money is working correctly, as it should. In other words, I think the way that I would put it is, what's God's view on money? How did God set it up to work? What does he say about it in his word? I do believe that's the best way to know about it, to know the creator of the universe, his thinking on how this stuff should work. We go to his word and see what he says about it. And there's two areas that I want to check out mainly for this one. One is going to be in Ecclesiastes. Now, Ecclesiastes was written by Solomon, and Solomon was a very wise man, probably the wisest man that ever lived on the earth. And he had a lot of money. He had a lot of riches. He had a lot of success in this area of life. And he shared it with us in places like Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. And here's one of the things he says. He says, "Cast your bread on the water, for you will find it after many days." Okay. And then he follows it up with, "Give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what disaster may happen on the earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves on the earth. If a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. He who observes the wind will not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap." The main verse I want to camp on a little bit is "Cast your bread on the waters," and see what that really means. Cast your bread on the waters, you will find it after many days. That's a curious thing. He also talks about giving here. Now, my personal opinion on this is that these are separate thoughts. This whole verses 1 through 4 here that we just read, a lot of times is all taken as a group, and there's context to it for sure. But I think he really is having separate thoughts on things here. It's good to give to a portion to 7 or even to 8. You don't know what disaster may happen. And it is possible that that could relate back to casting your bread on the waters, that it'll come back to you when something bad happens. People will be there for you. Jesus lays that out in one of his parables as well, about a man who goes and his master is about to discipline him, punish him because he's lost a bunch of money. So he goes and he's very shrewd with people because he knows he's getting kicked out. So he goes and he's very shrewd with people and settles debts with them in such a way that he's making friends with them. Okay, so he's giving to them by forgiving some of their debt, and he knows he's going to make friends with them. And so it does seem like that's a way that the world works. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves on the earth. The more people have, the more it tends to go out, right? And I don't know if that's exactly what's being said here, but the more we try to gather up and gather in, the more it can empty and it can go away. That could be what he's saying here. If a tree falls to the north or south, the place where it falls, there it'll lie. He who observes the wind will not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap. If we're always worried about what might happen, we're never going to make progress and move forward. That one I think is pretty clear. We're not going to make progress and move forward when we're worried about the could-be's, what could go wrong, what could happen. We look at the positives instead. But let's go back to casting your bread upon the waters. You'll find it after many days. I really think that this can be clarified in one of the parables that Jesus gave here. And if we go to Matthew chapter 25, we see one that you may be familiar with. This is the parable of the talents, and it starts in verse 14. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to read it. I really don't have a structured outline for this, for really any of these. I'm not trying to be super structured in what I'm doing here. I'm trying to be more free and open. So I just want to kind of reflect on what is being said in God's word here. And really that, I believe, is how we set our minds. That's how we develop our mindsets. It's how we renew our minds. We read his word, we have that good soil that absorbs it, and then we let it have its fruit in us. So we do seek to understand it. Solomon goes into that a lot. I think he opens Proverbs with that, seeking understanding. I mean, you seek after it for sure. But the word for wisdom in the Old Testament, now that I'm thinking about it, that word in the ancient Hebrew means not just understanding and knowledge, but it means the skillful application of knowledge. So it's when you skillfully use the knowledge that you have, that's when you're showing wisdom. Apart from that, you might as well be foolish at that point if you're not going to use the knowledge that you've been given. So here it is, the parable of the talents, Matthew chapter 14, what Jesus is saying. Keep in mind to cast your bread upon the waters. After many days it will return to you. Verse 14, he says, it's just like a man about to go on a journey who called his own slaves and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, each according to his own ability, and he went on his journey. So first of all, I'm going to pause there and say, that makes sense to us. It should. The ones who have shown more success with money are the ones that we want to give our money to. When you have a proven track record, that's when you're entrusted with more things. So if you're going to make an investment, do you want to go invest in the startup that could fail immediately? Or do you want to go invest in the company that has been around for a while and has this track record of continuing to build up and build up and build up money? That's just an investment kind of deal, right? And this is basically the same kind of thing. So the man goes, calls his servants, and trusts his possessions to them. One gets 5 talents, another 2, another 1, each according to his own ability. So he goes on his journey. In verse 16, immediately the one who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and gained 5 more talents. He doubled his money. In the same manner, the one who had received the 2 talents gained 2 more. But he who had received the 1 talent went away and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. The one that got 5, the one that got 2, they cast their bread on the waters. They traded with them. They used that money and more came back when they used it. The one who had 1, he went and buried it. He didn't use it. He just didn't want to lose it. That was his main concern. I don't want to lose this money. I want to hold on to it. But he didn't actually put it to use. Verse 19, after a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. The one who had received the 5 talents came up and brought 5 more talents, saying, Master, you entrusted 5 talents to me. See, I've gained 5 more talents. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. Also, the one who had received the 2 talents came up and said, Master, you entrusted 2 talents to me. See, I've gained 2 more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You are faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. So you see that the ones who had the money and went and used them and had success with them, they were approved of by the master. And again, I do want to say this. Jesus is using this very natural thing that happens in the world, the way things work, to express a spiritual point. For my nerdy folks out there, it's kind of like Newtonian physics and quantum physics. They exist in the same world that we're in, like the regular ways of the world that we see and observe and the spiritual things in the world that happen and that Christ is trying to reveal to us here in this parable. They're existing in the same world. There's a lot of things that kind of correlate and work the same, but there are things that are slightly different. So I don't even know if that was a good analogy. I may have screwed that up entirely. However, verse 24, the one who had received the 1 talent came up and said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. And I was afraid and went away and hid your talent in the ground. See, what you have is yours. His master answered and said to him, you wicked, lazy servant. You knew that I reap where I did not sow and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have put my money in the bank, and on arrival I would have received my money back with interest. Therefore, take away the talent from him, give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, he will have an abundance. From the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And then he talks about throwing out the worthless slave into the outer darkness. In that place, there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I'm not going to get into that spiritual side of things. We're going to focus on the how money works mindset here. I think we take some pretty good, in the church, we take some pretty good lessons away from this when we apply it to the gifts that God has given us. As far as we get this word talent, and then we get kind of confused. We say, okay, so we have talents. God has given us abilities and skills and things. So if we don't use them for him, then that's when we don't get a return on it and it doesn't increase. And yeah, there's good analogy there, I think. But I also think we get caught up in the word talent. It's not just the skills and abilities and gifts that we've been given, but it's also the resources that we've been given that I think he talks about. A talent is a measure. It's what is it? 3,000 shekels. That's what it is. 3,000 shekels in weight. And it represented money at the time. And that's what we can say here. And it doesn't matter how much we have. If we have 1, 2, 5, it doesn't matter. Whatever we have, there's a couple of points here that I think are very important for us to get right when we think about our mindset with money. Number one, it's not ours. It belonged to the master. Even Solomon, when he first came into the kingdom, he prayed to God. God said, hey, whatever you want, I'll give you. And he said, this people of yours that you've given me to guide and to lead, give me wisdom to guide them well. Even he understood they weren't his people. That was something God had given him. Here, we can relate that to money, even specifically. And I think this is even what Jesus is saying here. The money's not ours. These are things and resources, whatever it is that we have, has been given to us by God for his use, or to use for him, to multiply, to make more of for him. I mean, that's the way that we should think of it, right? Money is not in and of itself a moral or immoral thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It just is. It is what it is. And I think this is another point that's being made here. When Jesus says, to everyone who has more will be given, and he will have an abundance, but from the one who doesn't have, even what he has will be taken away. I don't think he's making a moral statement as much as just saying this is what is. This is just the way that things work. If you are good with something, if you're able to multiply that money, if you're able to go out and use it in the right way and make more with it, you're going to continue to do that. And the more you have, the more you'll be able to do that. If you are not able to do that, if you spend it all, if you are like the clouds and try to hoard it all, it gets full of rain, and then you empty it all out and it just goes everywhere. If you bury it in the ground, if you're the tree, if you see it as a tree that just kind of falls and that's where I just need to park it, set it in under the mattress or something along those lines. If you walk in fear because you observe the wind and regard the clouds, and you don't sow, you don't reap because you're afraid, like this servant was who buried the money in the ground, even what you have is going to be taken away. So if I don't use what I have, whether that's money or anything else, it's going to go away. It's going to leave. It's easy to see with like a skill, a talent that I have. If I have a talent for music and I don't ever use it, it gets rusty and it goes away. It starts leaving. If it's money and I try to just keep my bank account full and I don't go and use that money to make more money, it's just gonna dwindle. I mean, it doesn't stay in there. Whatever dollar I put in there is gonna be spent on something eventually, a need or a want. So the mindset is, I think, twofold. One, it's not mine, and I need to understand it's not mine. And two, it's a tool. It's amoral. There's nothing good or bad about it. Just like a hammer, it is a tool to be used for a purpose. And as long as I use it, then I get good use out of it. And unlike a tool, it's not just going to wear out. It's actually going to give me a return on my investment. So I may have to wait many days after I cast that bread on the waters but it'll return. It'll return to me. And we see that over and over, whether it's in Solomon's life or just people that we know now, today, we see that happening all the time. It's not just good investment like in the stock market or companies or gold or something like that, but it's actually being used. And we'll get more into the technical side of things. I just wanted to talk about the mindset area today. Again, I hope it's been helpful. Appreciate you. And until next time, thanks.